A jet engine screams to full throttle. Then, silence. No countdown, no warning shot. Just 100,000 pounds of steel and jet fuel hurtling down a flight deck and into open sky in under 2 seconds. That's not an accident. That's the point. Somewhere off the coast of Virginia, a ship is doing something no warship has ever done before. It launches fighter jets using electricity instead of steam. It runs on nuclear reactors that won't need refueling for 2 decades. And it cost more than any weapon ever built by human hands. Over $13 billion. Its name is the USS Gerald R. Ford. This is how it was built, piece by piece, secret by secret, inside one of the most heavily guarded industrial sites in America. Here's the strange part. Almost none of this should have worked. The reactor was too ambitious. The launch system failed, publicly for years. Congress nearly killed the whole program more than once. Engineers who worked on it have compared the project to building a skyscraper and a smartphone at the same time, using tools that didn't exist yet, and yet it worked. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how and why the decisions made inside this shipyard will shape American naval power for the next 50 years. Section 1. Why this ship had to exist. Rewind to the early 2000s. The Navy has a problem it doesn't like to admit. For 70 years, American naval dominance rested on one design, the Nimitz class. 10 of them, unmatched since the first entered service in 1975. But the technology inside was aging out. Steam catapults from the 1960s, hydraulic arresting gear untouched since Vietnam, a reactor plant that couldn't produce enough power for what came next. And what came next was closing in fast. China was racing to build its own carrier fleet, faster than Washington expected. Regional powers were investing in systems designed specifically to threaten a carrier group from hundreds of miles away. The old playbook, just build another Nimitz, wasn't going to cut it. So the Navy made a bet. Not an upgrade, a complete reinvention. A carrier built around automation, electromagnetic systems that didn't exist anywhere else, and a reactor powerful enough to run weapons that hadn't even left the lab yet. They called it the Ford class, and it was about to become the most expensive gamble in naval history. There is exactly one place on the planet that can build this ship. Newport News, Virginia. 4 miles of shipyard along the James River. The only facility in America certified to construct and refuel a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. Every US supercarrier ever built has come out of this yard. If it stopped operating, America would lose the ability to build its own carriers. There's no backup. 500 acres, 25,000 workers, welders, nuclear engineers, pipe fitters, crane operators, synchronized around a decade-long build that never really stops. At the center sits Dry Dock 12, a basin the length of several football fields, large enough to swallow an entire carrier hull, where the ship's keel is laid and a warship begins to rise out of raw steel and blueprints. What happens inside is classified: the reactor design, the electromagnetic systems, the radar architecture. Workers are cleared and tracked at every checkpoint. Cameras and phones are restricted. Most of what we know comes from carefully released Navy footage, congressional testimony, and rare authorized access, pieced together here, frame by frame. You cannot build a ship this size the old way, plate by plate from the keel up. It would take too long, and cost even more than $13 billion. So Newport News builds it like industrial engineering, not traditional shipbuilding. The vessel is broken into more than 160 superlifts, prefabricated sections weighing up to 1,000 tons each, built separately, then hoisted into place by one of the largest gantry cranes in the Western Hemisphere. These aren't empty shells. By the time a superlift is lifted into position, it may already contain wiring, piping, ventilation, even fully outfitted living compartments, finished inside before the outside even exists. It's a strange kind of reverse construction. One misaligned section can slip the schedule by months, at a cost of millions of dollars a day. Every inch is combat rated. Armor plating, compartmentalized flooding zones, blast-resistant bulkheads, built in from day one. By the time the hull comes together, over 1,100 feet long, nearly the Empire State Building laid on its side, more than 100,000 tons displaced. And still, at this stage, years from finished. Here's where things get genuinely dangerous to get wrong. Deep in the hull, below the waterline, sit two A-1B nuclear reactors, custom-built for this ship alone. They produce roughly 3 times the electricity of a Nimitz-class reactor, and that number is the entire reason Ford exists. Every next-generation system on board, the launch system, the radar, weapons still in development, needs power older reactors simply can't deliver. The payoff: these reactors can run over 20 years without refueling, 2 decades of global operations without ever stopping for fuel, a capability almost no other navy on Earth can match, and one only a handful of shipyards in the world even know how to build. Nuclear-certified engineers, many holding the highest security clearances in the country, lower the shielded reactor vessels as close to the keel as possible, for stability and protection. Once sealed, it becomes the most heavily guarded compartment on the ship, monitored for the rest of its 50-year service life. For 80 years, the Navy launched jets the same brutal way, steam catapults, accelerating aircraft to over 150 miles an hour in under 2 seconds. It worked, but it shredded airframes and was almost impossible to fine-tune. Ford tears up that playbook. In its place, EMALS, the electromagnetic aircraft launch system, a computer-controlled electromagnetic rail tuned exactly to whatever's on it. From a light drone weighing a few thousand pounds to a fully loaded F-35C weighing nearly 50,000, landing gets the same treatment. AAG, Advanced Arresting Gear, replaces hydraulic cables with water turbine control, gentler, more precise, able to catch a wider range of aircraft weights than the old system ever could. Together, they're built to launch and recover aircraft a third faster than any Nimitz-class carrier, a jet in the air, roughly every 25 seconds. But it almost didn't work. For years, EMALS failed more often than the Navy required, triggering public congressional hearings. It took years of quiet engineering to push reliability high enough to finally sign off, proof that revolutionary technology rarely arrives on schedule. Step onto the flight deck, and you're standing on 4.5 acres of the most dangerous choreography in the US military. Jets taxi within feet of each other. Handlers in color-coded jerseys, yellow for directors, blue for chocks and chains, red for ordnance, sprint across a deck slick with fuel and seawater. Catapult crews load, launch and reset so tightly that at peak tempo, a jet leaves the deck every 25 seconds. One missed signal, and the whole operation can turn catastrophic. Above it all, flush in the ship's island, sits dual-band radar. 2 radar systems fused into a single array. Older carriers needed multiple rotating dishes, each adding weight and radar signature. Ford does it with one flat panel, cutting crew requirements and visibility to enemy sensors at once. Even the island was rebuilt. Smaller, shifted nearly 140 feet further aft than a Nimitz-class carrier, freeing up more usable deck space than ever before. Fully deployed with its air wing, Ford carries roughly 9,000 people. Not a ship, a small floating city, running its own hospital, dental clinic, post office, and galleys, serving 18,000 meals a day, every day, regardless of weather. And yet, despite being the largest warship ever built, it needs roughly 700 fewer crew than a Nimitz-class carrier. Automation is everywhere. Electromagnetic weapons elevators, streamlined flight deck systems, munitions moved from deep storage without a sailor lifting a shell by hand. The same mission, run leaner, at lower cost, across a service life stretching past 2075. Building the ship was only half the fight. Proving it worked was the other. Sea trials pushed every system, reactors, radar, weapons elevators, to its limit. Several elevators weren't ready by delivery, forcing sailors to move some munitions the old-fashioned way, while engineers kept troubleshooting. While Newport News raced to finish Ford, EMALS kept failing more than the contract allowed. Costs climbed past what Congress approved, triggering years of hearings over whether the most expensive warship ever built was worth it. None of it entirely surprised the engineers building brand new, untested technology. But it was politically brutal, playing out in headlines while the yard kept quietly closing the gap between promise and performance. China wasn't waiting. Its newest carriers, including the Fujian, now field their own electromagnetic catapults, skipping the steam era entirely, learning from every setback Ford went through in public. So who's ahead? Depends what you're optimizing for. China's carriers run on conventional propulsion, refueling like any ordinary ship, which limits range before returning to port. Ford runs on nuclear power, built on nearly 70 years of American experience, going back to the USS Enterprise in the 1960s. Institutional knowledge that doesn't transfer overnight, no matter how much a rival navy invests. Two carriers, two philosophies. China built to dominate its own coastline. America built to project power anywhere on Earth, indefinitely. $13 billion. 8 years from keel to commissioning. A launch system that failed publicly in front of Congress. A reactor design never attempted before on any ship, anywhere. By every reasonable measure, this should have been a cautionary tale. The kind of over-budget program that gets cancelled halfway through. Instead, it became the new standard. Newport News is already building the next one, the John F. Kennedy, and the one after that, the Enterprise, each carrying forward every lesson learned here. The reactor now proven at sea, the electromagnetic systems finally reliable, the radar architecture that took a decade and $13 billion to prove could actually work. This wasn't just building a ship. It was betting American shipyards could still build the most advanced warship on Earth, even when every part of the process fought back. Against the odds, they did. This is how America builds a supercarrier. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for such interesting manufacturing documentaries in future.
This video is created for educational and informational purposes using advanced AI tools and human creativity. All concepts, scripting, and storytelling are independently developed to ensure originality. Visuals and animations are generated or enhanced using AI technologies such as View 3 Meta AI and Grok AI, while final editing and post-production are completed using CapCut and other professional editing tools. No external created content has been copied or reused. Any resemblance to real-world environments, factories, or processes is purely coincidental. All scenes shown in the video are digitally created and do not represent real footage. This content is produced with transparency and follows YouTube monetization guidelines.